There are different ways of combining two or more strings into a single string in JavaScript. And combining strings are very common in JavaScript programming. For example, you might collect the user's first name as one string and the last name as another string. To display the user's full name on a profile page, you need to combine the two strings for first name and last name. There are different techniques for combining strings in JavaScript. In this lecture, I'll teach you how to add strings together using a process called string concatenation. String concatenation is the process of combining or adding two or more strings together to create a bigger string. One way to concatenate strings in JavaScript is with the addition operator. Let's see how it works. To code along with me, first download the course folder from the link in the description below, unzip it, and open it with your favorite code editor. Here I'm using Visual Studio Code. From the course folder, open the exercise folder called JavaScript Strings. And then open the index.html file using Google Chrome. Here I also open the JavaScript console. In the index.html file, remember to link combine.js file. Let's start by creating three different variables: first name, last name, and profile info. The first name, you'll store the value returned by a prompt dialog that asks, "What is your first name?" The last name, you'll store the value returned by a prompt dialog that asks, "What is your last name?" And the profile info, you'll store the combination of all strings, including the strings stored in variables first name and last name. The final output of profile info looks like this. Do you know why I used let keyword for profile info instead of const? Because I'll update its value based on its current value by adding the value of all different profile informations. For example, like this. I'll start by adding the phrase "I am," because that is how our final message starts, and then followed by a space, addition operator, and space, and place the next string first name. Then followed by a space, addition operator, and space, and place the last name. And then followed by a space, addition operator, and place. Now I'll press enter, go to the next line, and add addition operator, space, and followed by semicolon. So notice how we are combining these strings together with just an addition operator. I can add as many strings as I like just by using the addition operator like this. I also display the value of profile info in the console. I'll save the change. Refresh the page. The prompt dialog appears. I'll type my first name. Click OK. My last name. OK. And this is the value of profile info in the console. But notice there's no space between "I am" and the first name, and first name and last name, and between other two sentences. When we combine strings, we are basically placing them next to each other. So if we need a space, we have to add it. In combine.js file, I'll add a space at the end of the phrase "I am," like this, and add another space after the first name, like this, and add a period and space after the last name, like this, and finally add another space before this sentence. I'll save the change, refresh the page. I'll type my first name, click OK, my last name, OK, and this is the value of profile info in the console. That looks good. When a variable like first name and last name contains a string, adding that variables to other strings is exactly the same as combining these strings. In other words, the variable is just a placeholder for the string value stored in it. There is another way to concatenate strings in JavaScript, and that is with the addition assignment operator that we learned in the previous lecture. The addition assignment operator will update the variable based on its current value. Let's see how it works. First, I'll start by typing profile info, followed by a space, addition assignment operator, space, and then the value I want to store. In this case, it's the phrase I am, followed by a space, and then the semicolon. This line of JavaScript statement will tell the JavaScript engine that take the current value of variable profile info, in this case it's an empty string, and then add the phrase I am to it. I'll go to next line, type profile info, followed by a space, addition assignment operator, space, and then the value I want to store. This time it's the first name, followed by semicolon. And this line of JavaScript statement will tell the JavaScript engine that take the current value of variable profile info, in this case it's the phrase I am, and add the string stored in a variable first name. Next, I'll add a space, like this. Next, I'll add a last name, like this. Next, I'll add period and space, like this. Next, I'll add this sentence, like this. Next, I'll add like this. So basically, for every new string value we want to add to the current string, we use one addition assignment operator. I also display the value of profile info in the console. I'll save the change, refresh the page. The prompt dialog appears. I'll type my first name, click OK. I'll type my last name, click OK, and this is the value of profile info in the console. Same result, but we did it in a different way. Good! You have just learned some really important skills. How to add strings together using a process called concatenation, and how to combine strings with the variables that contain string value. In the next lecture, I'll teach you a more elegant way of combining multiple strings together.